The quantum arrays aboard the Valaxian warship Dominance hummed with anticipation as High Commander Zixtal studied the peculiar vessel that had wandered into their restricted space. It was smaller than their scout ships, with an ungainly design that spoke of primitive engineering. Yet something about it made his crystalline sensory filaments twitch with unease. Preliminary scans complete, High Commander. First observer Kara announced, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with confusion. The vessel appears to be a research craft, but there's an energy signature we can't identify. Zixtal's upper appendages twitched in annoyance. The Valaxians had ruled this sector for 10,000 cycles, their quantum-based technology unmatched across known space. The idea that this primitive species could produce an energy signature their sensors couldn't categorize was absurd. "Show me," he commanded, his crystalline structure refracting light in patterns of authority. The holographic display materialized, showing the human vessel in detail. At its heart was a pulsing core of energy that seemed to shift and twist in ways that defied their understanding of physics. Standing at the main control interface was a small figure, a human female, according to their species database. "Magnify," Zixtal ordered. The image zoomed in on the human. She was manipulating complex holographic controls with a speed and precision that shouldn't have been possible for such a primitive species. Her dark eyes held a focused intensity that made even Zixtal's crystalline core resonate with uncertainty. "Dr. Sarah Chen," Kara read from their database. "According to intercepted communications, she's a quantum physicist. They're leading expert in something they call quantum entanglement manipulation." Zixtal's sensory filaments rippled with amusement. Quantum manipulation. These humans barely had faster-than-light travel. They couldn't possibly understand the principles that had made the Valaxians masters of the galaxy. "Prepare the capture fields," he ordered. "This should be instructive. Perhaps we'll learn something about their primitive attempts at quantum science." The Dominance's weapon systems powered up, preparing to envelope the human vessel in fields of pure quantum energy, technology that had subdued countless species before. But as the fields reached out toward the research vessel, something unprecedented happened. The energy signature at the ship's core pulsed, and suddenly the capture fields weren't just failing. They were being redirected. Zixtal watched in disbelief as his own weapon systems began to resonate with the human vessel's core. "Impossible," he whispered, his crystalline structure vibrating with shock. On the display, Dr. Chen's hands moved across her controls with practiced precision. The energy signature from her ship grew stronger, more focused. The capture fields began to collapse, their quantum structure unraveling in ways that violated everything the Valaxians understood about physics. "High Commander." Kara's bioluminescence flashed in alarm. "She's not just blocking our fields, she's using them to analyze our quantum matrix. Somehow she's reading our entire technological base through the connection." Zixtal's commanding presence faltered for the first time in his long career. "Disengage. Shut down all quantum systems." But it was too late. The human vessel's core flared with blinding intensity, and for a moment, every quantum system on the Dominance resonated in harmony with it. When the light faded, Dr. Chen's face filled their main display. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't even angry. She was smiling. "Thank you for the data," she said simply. "Your quantum manipulation technology is fascinating, but you're only scratching the surface of what's possible. Would you like to see what happens when you combine it with human intuition?" Before Zixtal could respond, the human vessel's core pulsed one final time. Every quantum system on the Dominance reconfigured itself, transforming into something new, something that shouldn't have been possible. Something that combined Valaxian precision with human creativity in ways that made Zixtal's crystalline structure resonate with both fear and wonder. "This is impossible," he whispered. "We've spent 10,000 cycles perfecting our quantum technology. How could you possibly?" "That's your problem," Dr. Chen interrupted, her smile widening. "You spent 10,000 cycles perfecting one way of thinking. We humans, we never stop looking for new possibilities. And now, thanks to your attempted capture, We understand your technology better than you do." The human vessel's engines flared to life, but they weren't the primitive drives they'd detected earlier. Somehow, in the span of minutes, Dr. Chen had adapted their own quantum technology to create something entirely new. As the research vessel disappeared into quantum space, leaving the mighty dominants hanging powerless in the void, Zixtel realized that everything was about to change. They hadn't just failed to capture a primitive vessel. They'd given humanity the keys to the quantum kingdom. And Dr. Sarah Chen's smile suggested this was only the beginning. Supreme Admiral Vexthor's crystalline form pulsed with barely contained rage as he reviewed the incident report. The mighty dominants, pride of the Valaxian fleet, had been effectively neutralized by a single human research vessel. Worse, they had lost control of their most closely guarded technological secrets in the process. "Bring up the humans' file again," he commanded, his voice resonating through the crystalline chamber of the Valaxian High Command. Dr. Sarah Chen's image appeared before him, alongside streams of data that had been gathered since the encounter. The quantum physicist had become the most studied human in Valaxian history over the past solar rotation. Analysis suggests she has already transmitted our quantum specifications to the human scientific community, reported strategic analyst Myris, her bioluminescent patterns shifting with concern. Their understanding of quantum mechanics is evolving at an unprecedented rate. "Then we must strike now before they can fully implement what they've learned," Vexthor declared. His upper appendages orchestrated complex patterns in the air, summoning the holographic forms of his most elite commanders. "I am activating the quantum strike force." The chamber fell silent. The QSF was the Valaxians' ultimate weapon, a fleet of ships powered by experimental quantum drives that could rewrite the laws of physics themselves. They had never needed to deploy them before. No species had ever posed enough of a threat. "Supreme Admiral," Myris ventured carefully, "there are concerning patterns in the human response to our technology. Each time we engage them, they don't just resist. They adapt. They learn. They improve. All the more reason to crush them now." Vexthor's crystalline structure flashed with patterns of determination. "Launch the QSF. Target their primary research facilities. Leave nothing." The quantum strike force deployed within hours, their ships sliding through space like living darkness. They emerged near Earth's primary quantum research facility, a sprawling complex where, according to their intelligence, Dr. Chen was leading humanity's quantum advancement efforts. The first quantum strike hit like a supernatural hammer designed to shatter reality itself. But instead of destruction, their sensors detected something impossible. The humans were absorbing the quantum disruption, channeling it, using it. "Supreme Admiral," the QSF commander's voice cracked with disbelief, "they've adapted their shields to resonate with our quantum weapons. The strikes aren't damaging them, they're making them stronger." Through the quantum-enhanced visual feeds, Vexthor watched in horror as human ships began to emerge from quantum space, not clumsily like before, but with precise, elegant maneuvers that matched Valaxian techniques. And at their head was a vessel that seemed to bend reality around it, its quantum signature unlike anything they had ever encountered. Dr. Chen's face appeared on their command displays, but she looked different now. There was an otherworldly quality to her movements, as if she existed partially in quantum space itself. "I tried to show you we could work together," she said, her voice carrying notes of both regret and determination. "But you chose escalation. Now let me show you what happens when human creativity meets quantum understanding." Her ship's quantum core pulsed, and suddenly the laws of physics seemed to rewrite themselves around the human fleet. They moved in ways that should have been impossible, their ships flowing through space like water, their quantum signatures singing in harmonies that made the Valaxians' crystalline structures resonate in sympathetic awe. "Impossible," Vexthor whispered. "You couldn't have mastered quantum mechanics so quickly. It took us millennia." "That's because you see quantum mechanics as a set of rules to be followed," Dr. Chen replied. We see it as a conversation with reality itself, and humans are very good at learning new languages. The human fleet moved as one, their quantum fields interweaving in complex patterns. The QSF ships found their own quantum systems being redirected, reformed, repurposed. It wasn't a battle. It was a complete paradigm shift. "Your ships are intact," Dr. Chen announced as the QSF fleet hung powerless in space. "Your crews are safe. We don't want to destroy you. We want to understand you, to learn from you, and yes, to teach you." Vexthor's crystalline form vibrated with a mix of emotions he had never experienced in his long existence. Fear, certainly, but also something else. Something that felt surprisingly like hope. "How?" he asked finally. "How did you advance so far so fast?" Dr. Chen's expression softened. "Because while you spent millennia perfecting one path through quantum space, we spent centuries learning to think in infinite possibilities. Every obstacle you put in our path just became another opportunity to learn, to grow, to evolve." As Vexthor watched his invincible fleet floating helplessly in space, outmaneuvered by humans using their own technology in ways they had never imagined, he realized that the galaxy was about to change forever. The age of Valaxian quantum supremacy was over. The age of human quantum innovation had begun. Junior researcher Kilvin moved through the crystalline corridors of the Valaxian Science Academy with growing excitement, his bioluminescent patterns flickering rapidly. He had spent the last 3 cycles analyzing the quantum signatures from the human fleet, and what he had discovered was revolutionary. If only he could convince the High Council to listen. The council chamber was a masterpiece of quantum architecture, its crystalline walls shifting and flowing with the thoughts and emotions of those within. Today, those patterns reflected anxiety and fear as the council debated the human situation. "They have already adapted 15 of our quantum defense systems," Elder Zach Still was saying, her crystalline form pulsing with distress. "Our technological advantage is eroding by the day." "Then we must strike with everything we have," another council member argued, "before they grow even stronger." "Actually," Kilvan interrupted, earning shocked ripples from the assembled elders, "I believe that would be a catastrophic mistake." Supreme Admiral Vexthor, who had been summoned to the council after the QSF incident, turned his imposing form toward the young researcher. "Explain yourself, junior researcher." Quickly. Kilvan activated his research probe, projecting a complex quantum matrix into the center of the chamber. "This is a standard Valaxian quantum field, and this," he overlaid another pattern, "is what the humans did to it." The combined pattern was beautiful in its complexity, combining Valaxian precision with something entirely new, something that made the quantum field more efficient, more adaptable, more alive. "They didn't just copy our technology," Kilvan explained, his excitement overriding his nervousness. "They're improving it. Look at these efficiency patterns. They're achieving things we thought were theoretically impossible. And this concerns you." Dr. Chen's voice came from everywhere and nowhere at once, causing the entire council to shift in surprise. A moment later, her quantum signature manifested in the chamber, her form partially physical, partially quantum energy. "Fascinating quantum architecture," she noted, looking around appreciatively. "The resonance patterns in your crystalline structures are remarkable." "How dare you breach our most secure facility?" Elder Zach Still began, but Kilvan stepped forward. "Because she didn't breach anything," he said, his patterns showing understanding. "You've learned to exist partially in quantum space itself, haven't you, Dr. Chen?" She smiled. "Your young researcher understands. We're not trying to defeat you or steal your technology. We're trying to transcend the limitations both our species have accepted as unchangeable." "Show them," Kilvan urged. "Show them what you showed me in our quantum communications." Dr. Chen nodded and raised her hand. The quantum field around her expanded, interacting with the chamber's crystalline structure. Suddenly, every being in the room could feel it. A new way of perceiving quantum reality, one that combined Valaxian crystalline precision with human intuitive understanding. "This is impossible," Supreme Admiral Vex Thor whispered, but his crystalline structure was already resonating with the new patterns, adapting, growing. "Impossible is just where things get interesting," Dr. Chen replied. "Your quantum technology is incredible, but you've been limited by your own assumptions about what's possible. We humans have a gift for questioning assumptions." "The quantum harmony readings are off the scale," Kilvan reported excitedly. "The combination of our crystalline quantum tech and human quantum intuition, it's creating entirely new possibilities." Around them, the chamber's quantum architecture was transforming, becoming something more than either species had created before. The council members watched in amazement as their most advanced quantum systems evolved before their eyes. "This is what I've been trying to tell you," Kilvan pressed. "The humans aren't our enemies. They're the catalysts we've been waiting for. Their ability to think beyond established patterns, combined with our refined quantum manipulation, could revolutionize everything we thought we knew about quantum physics," Dr. Chen finished. "But only if we work together." The chamber fell silent as the council members communicated in rapid quantum pulses. Finally, Elder Zach still spoke. "In all our history, we have never encountered a species that could not only grasp our quantum technology, but improve upon it. Perhaps it is time for the Valaxian Dominion to consider a new approach." "A quantum partnership," Kilvan suggested, his patterns bright with hope. "More than that," Dr. Chen added. "A quantum revolution. Together, we could reshape our understanding of reality itself." As the council chamber hummed with new possibilities, Supreme Admiral Vex Thor found himself experiencing an unfamiliar sensation, the crystalline equivalent of laughter. "To think," he mused, "we thought we were containing a threat, when instead we were meeting our future." The quantum fields pulsed with shared potential as two species, once divided by fear and pride, began to glimpse a future neither had imagined possible. The revolution wasn't just in their technology. It was in their understanding of what they could become together. The combined research facility hanging in high Earth orbit was unlike anything either species had created before. Its quantum crystalline architecture pulsed with the merged knowledge of two civilizations, its very structure a testament to what they could achieve together. Inside one of its primary research chambers, Dr. Sarah Chen and Kilvan were making history. "Watch this resonance pattern," Sarah said, her fingers dancing through the holographic interface, while part of her consciousness existed in quantum space. The quantum field they were studying shifted, its structure transforming in ways that made Kilvan's crystalline form vibrate with excitement. "Remarkable," he observed, his bioluminescent patterns flickering rapidly. "You're not just manipulating the quantum field, you're having a conversation with it." "Exactly." Sarah's eyes lit up. "That's what we've been trying to explain. Quantum reality isn't just a set of rules to be followed. It's alive in its own way. It responds to intention, to creativity, to the willingness to imagine new possibilities." Around them, other human and Valaxian scientists worked in perfect harmony, their different approaches to quantum mechanics creating something entirely new. The chamber itself seemed to hum with potential as breakthrough after breakthrough emerged from their collaboration. "Quantum communication incoming," announced the facility's AI, its voice a blend of human warmth and Valaxian precision. A moment later, Supreme Admiral Vex Thor's quantum signature manifested in the chamber. Dr. Chen, researcher Kilvan. He greeted them, his crystalline structure showing patterns of both authority and respect. "The Council requires an update on Project Synthesis." Sarah and Kilvan shared a look of barely contained excitement. "Show him," Sarah suggested. Kilvan activated their latest prototype, a quantum core that combined Valaxian crystalline technology with human quantum intuition. The result was something that defied traditional physics. The quantum field it generated didn't just manipulate space-time, it danced with it. "By the first crystal," Vex Thor whispered, his form resonating with awe. "What am I seeing?" "The future," Sarah replied simply. We've moved beyond simple quantum manipulation. This core doesn't just interact with quantum fields, it creates new possibilities within them. Watch. She interfaced with the core, her consciousness merging partially with its quantum field. The space around them began to shift, not in the rigid, controlled way of traditional Valaxian technology, but in flowing, organic patterns that somehow maintained perfect mathematical precision. The efficiency readings are beyond anything we thought possible. Kilvan reported, his patterns showing pure joy. Energy usage is down 90%, but power output is increased by a factor of 50. And that's just the beginning. Explain, Vexthor commanded, but his tone was eager rather than demanding. We're calling it quantum synthesis, Sarah said. It's not just a combination of our technologies. It's a new way of understanding reality itself. The Valaxian approach provides the precision and control, while human intuition opens up new possibilities. Together, they create something greater than either could achieve alone. As if to demonstrate, the quantum core pulsed, and suddenly every being in the chamber could perceive quantum reality directly. They saw the infinite possibilities lying within every moment, the complex dance of probability and potential that made up the universe. This could change everything, Vexthor realized. Space travel, energy production, communication, even our understanding of consciousness itself. It already is changing everything, Kilvan pointed out. Look at us. A year ago, our species were on the brink of war. Now we're discovering that we're not just allies, we're essential to each other's evolution. Sarah nodded. The Valaxians have spent millennia mastering the structure of quantum reality. We humans bring the ability to see beyond structure, to imagine new possibilities. Together, we're not just advancing technology, we're advancing life itself. The chamber hummed with shared purpose as more scientists, both human and Valaxian, gathered to witness their achievement. The quantum core continued its dance, showing them glimpses of a future where the boundaries between possible and impossible became increasingly meaningless. To think, Vexthor mused, his crystalline form showing complex patterns of emotion. All of this began because we thought we needed to contain humanity's potential. Instead, you've helped us unlock our own. That's the thing about potential, Sarah replied with a smile. It has a way of surprising you. And we're just getting started. As if in response, the quantum core pulsed again, its field expanding to encompass the entire facility. In that moment, every being present could feel it. They weren't just witnessing the future. They were creating it, together, one quantum possibility at a time. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Concordat fell silent as Dr. Sarah Chen and Kilvan took the stage. Representatives from 1,000 species leaned forward in anticipation. Word of the human Valaxian breakthrough had spread across the galaxy, drawing observers from civilizations that hadn't shown themselves in millennia. Sarah's quantum-enhanced consciousness could feel the mix of curiosity, skepticism, and fear rippling through the audience. Beside her, Kilvan's crystalline structure pulsed with a combination of excitement and nervousness that perfectly matched her own emotions. For 10,000 cycles, Kilvan began, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. The Valaxian Dominion believed we had mastered quantum reality. We were wrong. We had merely scratched its surface. And humanity, Sarah continued, for all our drive to understand the universe, could never have reached these heights alone. Our greatest strength wasn't our technology or our determination. It was our ability to recognize that we needed each other. Together, they activated the quantum core they had brought with them. The entire hall gasped as reality itself seemed to shift, becoming more vivid, more alive. Every being present could suddenly perceive the quantum layer of existence, not as abstract mathematics, but as a living, breathing aspect of reality. What you're experiencing, Sarah explained, is direct quantum perception. Not through instruments or interfaces, but through a synthesis of Valaxian quantum technology and human consciousness. We call it the quantum bridge. It doesn't just allow us to observe quantum reality. Kilvan added, his patterns shifting with pride. It lets us participate in it, to shape it, to grow with it, to demonstrate. They interfaced with the quantum core together. The space around them transformed, not in the flashy way of traditional technology, but in a deep, fundamental manner that made the universe itself feel more real, more accessible. Supreme Admiral Vex Thor, now serving as the head of the Joint Human-Valaxian Quantum Initiative, stepped forward. When we first encountered humans, we saw them as a primitive species that needed to be contained. Instead, they showed us that true advancement comes not from containing potential, but from unleashing it. The quantum bridge isn't just a technological achievement, Sarah continued. It's a new way of existing, a path to understanding not just the mechanics of the universe, but its consciousness, its purpose, its soul. As if to demonstrate, the quantum field expanded, touching every being in the hall. For a moment, they were all connected, all part of the same quantum dance. Species that had been enemies for millennia found themselves sharing thoughts, feelings, understanding each other on a level that transcended ordinary communication. This is what humanity brought to our quantum mastery, Kilvan explained, his patterns showing deep emotion. Not just the ability to break barriers, but the wisdom to see why those barriers needed to be broken. The courage to reach across divisions. The creativity to imagine what could be instead of accepting what is. The quantum field pulsed with possibility as Sarah stepped forward. We stand before you not as conquerors or revolutionaries, but as explorers. What we've created isn't an ending. It's a beginning. The beginning of a journey that all of us can take together. Around them, the quantum reality they had unveiled continued to shift and evolve, showing glimpses of possibilities that made even the oldest species present feel young again. The universe wasn't just vast and mysterious anymore. It was inviting them to join its dance. The choice before you is simple, Vex Thor declared. You can cling to the old ways, the old divisions, the old limitations, or you can join us in embracing what we can become together. One by one, the representatives of 1,000 species stood. The quantum field resonated with their decision, their acceptance, their hope. In that moment, they all understood what humanity had taught the Valaxians, that the greatest discoveries come not from power or control, but from the willingness to reach out, to connect, to grow. This is just the beginning, Sarah said softly, but every being present heard her words in their hearts, their minds, their quantum essence. Together, we're not just going to explore the universe, we're going to help it dream new dreams. As the quantum field pulsed with the combined potential of 1,000 species, all brought together by the unlikely partnership of humans and Valaxians, the future itself seemed to shift. They had done more than create new technology or forge new alliances. They had proven that the greatest power in the universe wasn't force or knowledge or even quantum mastery. It was the simple, human ability to look at the impossible and say, why not? The age of quantum synthesis had begun, and it had started with a single human who smiled in the face of impossible odds, and a single Valaxian who dared to question everything his species had ever believed. Together, they had changed the universe, and they were just getting started.